Hello, summer people. My name is Sam Bettens, and it is 118 degrees Fahrenheit in Palm Desert today. I stepped out of the house last night after the sun went down to walk my dog, and as soon as I opened the door, it felt like someone was pointing a blow dryer in my face. This is not a climate for wussies. Anyway, this week's vlog is called We'll See About That. Every day on this earth, we are bombarded with ideas, thoughts, ideals, misconceptions, and thanks to social media, seemingly endless ramblings from others. We sift through it as best as we can and form our own ideas and thoughts. But with that much input coming our way non-stop, how can we tell the difference between what is fed and what is really ours? I'm no philosopher, and I'm only moderately smart, so don't expect me to enlighten you on the meaning of life. But I do have some thoughts around self-discovery that may spark a conversation, either with a friend or with yourself in your own head. When I first had feelings for my wife, I was confused. I was married to a man, I thought of myself as a straight woman, and I didn't know what to make of the butterflies in my stomach. I thought about her all the time, I wanted to talk to her all the time, and I couldn't focus on anything else. My brother was one of the first people I told about this, and he didn't think too much of it. He said something like, "Remember those intense friendships you had when you were a teenager? It's probably something like that." Now, my brother knows me very well, but he didn't see it. And how can I expect someone to see something that I hadn't even been able to comprehend myself? I remember that conversation very well, not because of what he said, but because I remember thinking, "You're wrong. It's something else. It's more than that." And that was my gut talking. Here I was asking advice from the person I was closest to in my life, someone whose opinions I hold in very high regard. I was desperate for insight, and still I knew he was wrong. And hearing him say that while observing my own reaction to it, that was a sign. Unfortunately, these signs do not tend to come in flashing neon or manifest themselves on giant billboards. They're easy to recognize looking back, but in the moment, they're more like a tiny little, barely audible voice that has a danger of quickly being drowned out by the reality that is your life. In my case, at that time, that reality consisted of being married to a man and having really strong feelings for a woman with 2 little kids. The odds of this having a happy ending were not in my favor. But I did what I'm doing with my transition right now. I chipped away at the roadblocks, one by one, trusting that little voice inside my head that said, "This is right, this is who you are." And that's where it gets hard. How do we trust ourselves? How do we know that that voice is not evil, or worse, not your own? Maybe it's your friends talking, or your family. Maybe that voice is driven by less than admirable reasons. Maybe it's just the fear of being wrong and uprooting other people's lives for no reason. That was a big one for me. What if I'm wrong? It's the doubt that creeps into everything. In a way, my brother was right, because those intense friendships were full-on girl crushes for sure, but I didn't know that at the time. When I started questioning where I fit on the gender spectrum, I had nothing but doubt, and I was hanging on the lips of anyone who could give me even a glimpse into my own truth. My wife, my friends, trans guys who were friends of friends and who were willing to talk to me, therapists, and as confused and lost as I felt, I often had that same recognizable feeling that I had when I had that conversation with my brother. Someone would tell me, maybe you can just wear binders and identify as a masculine female. And I would think, I don't think so. But I didn't say it out loud yet because I wasn't sure, and I hadn't really put in the work. I was terribly impatient for an answer, but I also understood that this had to be a process. It's too big to not let time do its job. Every time it was suggested to me to maybe not take hormones, or to wait a few years, or maybe not contemplate top surgery, I would think, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I found myself wishing for the outcome that I'm living at this very moment, and maybe that was telling enough. Quick side note, I've been shamed for not questioning long enough, as if a lifetime doesn't cut it because I wasn't actively out loud questioning until last year. Don't let anyone else shame you for following your own path. On a slightly different yet somewhat related subject, someone once told me, "Your voice is special in Belgium, a country of 11 million. But for America, you're just not unique enough. There are thousands of singers just like you." It was one of the meanest things anyone has ever said to me. But even though I was taken aback, I also remember thinking, we'll see about that. 1 year later, Alanis Morissette personally invited us to tour with her. Epic 550 under Sony took notice, and Not an Addict became a top 5 alternative radio hit for that year in North America. There was a lot of luck involved in that whole process, and I didn't create that success all by myself. But that statement was almost a motivator. Even though it could have shattered my confidence, it kind of boosted it, because deep down, I knew he was wrong. It's a great thing to ask for advice and then not take it. Not to purposely waste your advisor's time, but sometimes you have to hear things out loud to realize they're not for you. Perfectly sound advice for anybody else can trigger something in you that propels you in exactly the opposite direction. If we knew ahead of time where conversations were going to take us, then why talk at all? Throw things out there and see where they land. I don't know if this is of much help to anyone, but I can only share the experiences that I'm having and hope that it's a small piece of your puzzle. Maybe even a corner piece, who knows? I learn every time I talk to another trans person, and I grow every time I'm challenged in my own thinking. And I share my world with you in the hopes of progress for me and for you. That's all the cheap wisdom you're getting from me this week, my dear YouTube viewers. Hit the like button, subscribe if it tickles your fancy, turn on your notifications, and share if that's where the mood guides you. Take care of yourselves, enjoy these last weeks of summer, and don't forget, I love you, I appreciate you, hang loose.